Chris Pranger, who was once working for Nintendo until just recently, was terminated from his position for appearing on the Part-Time Gamers podcast, for speaking candidly about his position with the company and the individuals within it and many of the projects that they had been working on. Unfortunately for him, he didn't actually get any kind of agreement to go and say any of the things that he did. And most people already know that a company that big, whenever you go and sign on with them, you're given a non-disclosure agreement to not say many different things and to openly discuss anything pertaining to the company, the individuals within it, the projects that they're overlooking, anything at all, unless you were given permission directly to say what you're going to say and who you're going to say it to. And that was not the case for him. He had spoken openly about it and unfortunately was terminated from his position, and many people have now been debating whether or not Nintendo was a bit too harsh with their firing of him. Pranger had went on record on Facebook and had talked about how he was really saddened and shocked, frankly, by the fact that Nintendo decided to go and fire him over doing this. He was also speaking about it very briefly on Twitter, and it's an extremely sad situation. I've been in a position multiple different times throughout my life, ever since I was working at the age of 16, where I was let go from a position that, you know, whether the store closed down, they were just letting go of employees for cost-effective measures of just trying to go and cut the fat off, you know, to make ends meet, essentially, and many other different reasons. And it can be a big-time hardship, especially whenever you have bills to pay. You know, I've been paying my own way throughout the entirety of my life, ever since the age of 16, so the idea of not knowing what tomorrow's going to hold, in terms of you having a direct income, is horrifying. And I can honestly relate to that big time, and I feel for him. The unfortunate fact is that he shouldn't have gone on there. He himself even had brought up, I shouldn't have went on there and talked about anything, period. He just shouldn't have. Most people know a lot better than to go and do that. Will they go and discuss it with people in private that they know personally? Yeah, more than likely, but you can't go out in the general public and just say this anywhere and everywhere, especially on the internet, because, well, it got around pretty quickly, as he got to see, and it was inevitable that this was going to end up happening. Do I feel that Nintendo was a bit too harsh with how they reacted? Yeah, I do. Mainly because he didn't disclose any kind of industry secrets. You know, he didn't say anything bad about the company. He didn't do something to go and undermine their name or any of the individuals that work for him or any of his peers. Nothing like that. That's why I feel, since there isn't some kind of great heavy impact on the company that's going to reflect poorly upon them in public image or shareholders or fans or whatever, then termination just seems to be a bit too far. Did you really need to fire him? No. Would I have reprimanded him? Most fucking definitely. Just because there's a reason that you have an NDA. There's a reason behind it. It makes a ton of sense why it's there. And with him, it's like, dude, I would have had you maybe, I don't know, I would have sent you home for an entire week, no paid, nothing like that. At the most, 2 weeks, but I mean, even that's still kind of harsh because that's half a month. You know, but just suspended him. And this would have went onto his record in terms of the company as a big-time strike. As in, don't ever fuck up again, or else shit will be really bad for you. But termination, I do feel is way, way too far. You know, this is, it's a messed up circumstance, but again, I do understand why they decided to go and take the approach that they did. I just felt that it was too much, just given the fact that nothing bad came of it. If anything, in a lot of ways, this could kind of make Nintendo look like a bully, to a certain extent. Keep in mind that there's going to be people that are going to relate to him big time and are going to end up feeling for him, feel really bad for him, and understandably so. Whenever you have a family to take care of, and you no longer have insurance, you no longer have an income to provide for the utilities, for the rent, for food, for everything that is needed to keep the roof over your head, that is always one of the worst feelings in the entire world. And that's a position that he was just thrust into for making a bad judgment call. So, there's two different feelings about the entire thing of, yes, Nintendo was right for doing it, and no, Nintendo wasn't right for doing it, and whether or not, you know, he was kind of just making a very brash decision, which I do feel that he was, because he should know better. Everybody should know better. There's been plenty of companies that make you sign things to make sure that you don't say anything about, well, everything pertaining to the company outside of work. You know, that's pretty much commonplace. Even the most basic of jobs will go out of their way to make you go and sign something like that upon getting hired. It's normal. I mean, even the most higher of higher ups can be reprimanded, no matter how important their position is, and probably even more so, just considering the fact that, you know, they've got as much pull as they do. They've got as many eyes on them as they do every single day, let alone somebody that is in the lower rungs of the company hierarchy. So, opinions and thoughts on that? Just kind of curious if anybody feels the way that I do. Again, I don't feel that he should have been fired. Reprimanded, yes. Fired, no. Do I think Nintendo went a little overboard with it? I do feel that they were too harsh with it, but I understand at the same point. So it's kind of hard to say. Everybody's going to have their own take on it, but if I was in a position that I had to make the final judgment call, yeah, I would just suspended him. That's really about it. Suspended him a week without pay, bam, done, and just made sure that he was scared shitless to not have ever done that again. But to go this far, nah, it's just nonsense. Anyway, this is AlphaOmegaSin. As always, nerds, nerdettes, and gamers, game the fuck on!